NFL season has officially been over for about a week and a half, but that's okay because now we move into a brand new season, a season that, well, everybody's back to square one. Mock draft season. That's what we love to see, right? Mock draft number 1 for me today, and this one's going to be straight off the rip. I have no real notes put together for this one. This one I like to do my first one just kind of instinctually based off of what I know, that positional needs are for teams, based off of what prospect grades have been, a lot of things like that. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this. I will say it's been a lot of weird on this channel lately. So if you've been following my channel, I appreciate you so much. I really do. And if you haven't, hit that like and subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it really does help me out a bunch. But I've not been posting a lot. I've been like 3 videos in the last 3 weeks, and that's because, well, if you don't remember, I've moved. This is a new place. Like, go back 3 weeks ago, and it was a completely different place for every other video. And it's been a process. We've had a lot going on, and I'm glad to say now that my wife is pregnant with our second child. So we've had a lot going on, and it's a blessing, and I can only thank God. But anyways, I'm gonna try to get back here soon. I haven't been able to do a lot of film on college players this year as a whole. I got started yesterday I went through 6 quarterbacks on between 2 and 6 games apiece. So a lot of notes yesterday, a lot of notes. But either way, let's get this first draft underway. Starting off with the Tennessee Titans, and they're in a world of hurt, to be honest with you. After trading A.J. Brown in, 2020? I don't even remember what it was. But they've been in a world of hurt. And honestly, I don't think quarterback's the way to go this year. I don't think it's worth... Cam Ward, he is worth the number 1 pick if you're the Titans, based off of the fact that he's the best one there, and he's not a terrible prospect. But he's not a number 1 quarterback that you'd want every year, right? So, with that being in mind, we kind of have to look around here and consider other things. And they themselves have said they're not going to pass on a generational player. In my opinion, generational is one of 2 guys, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter. Though that's not my mind. That's most people's minds, right? I don't know about Abdul Carter yet. I have not watched him myself, so I'm not going to stick him with a generational label. I have watched a little bit more of a guy like Mykel Williams, and I have a feeling that Mykel Williams could be a very interesting player come the next couple weeks in drafts. I think he could rise up draft boards and ultimately be like a Trayvon Walker type of rise by the end of draft season, the day the draft happens. Could we shockingly see him fly up to 1? I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying keep an eye on that one, okay? Just keep an eye on that one, right? Either way, what is Tennessee going to do here? I think Will Levis, he needs another shot. He doesn't really have a shot right now, and ultimately you probably should get him a receiver. But I don't think that's done here in round 1. I think Abdul Carter makes way too much sense right here, right now. They don't have an edge rusher. They need one. And he makes too much sense. For what we know now, Abdul Carter is the guy to go with. Mykel Williams, wait on him. Let's see what happens with that one. Anyways, Cleveland. If you think Tennessee's in a world of hurt, Cleveland is in, well, nothing better, let me say, than purgatory. They're never going to be good, ever. And it starts, I made a whole video about that. I'll link this video at the end. I'm going to make videos about the top 5 different teams and what their situations are. I've already done Tennessee and Cleveland, so go check those out. I will have them linked in the little things above me over here somewhere. At some point, you'll see it. But either way, you can always check them out after the video as well. Cameron Ward kind of makes too much sense here. However, they're paying Deshaun Watson a lot. And the quarterback class this year like I said, it's not amazing. I do think it makes too much sense, so we're going to do it. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were to go with a, Mason Graham, Mykel Williams, if it came down to trading Myles Garrett. Speaking of the Myles Garrett thing, I think the best thing they could do is try to trade him to New England. I know he said he wants to go to a contender. He has no real pull. He doesn't really have any say. So if you can convince New England to give you 4 and you are able to grab Cam Ward and a Mykel Williams, Cam Ward and somehow an Abdul Carter, or even Abdul Carter and Shadur if you like Shadur enough, things like that. If you could do that, almost like a Texans-like approach from 2 years ago, that'd be something. A good way to kick off a Browns soft rebuild, right? The Giants at 3, though, just pitiful. Just pitiful. I don't think they're going to look at a rookie quarterback. I think they're going to go probably for a veteran. Sam Darnold makes some sense in my opinion. The Matthew Stafford rumors are really heating up that he could be traded there. I think that makes some sense. And if that's the case, they really could take just about anything. This thing here lists that they need, well, quarterback, D-line, running back. Oh, okay. That was cool. It lists that. But I really, receiver's a big need. Where do you go? I don't even know. I'm not taking quarterback here. O-line's a mess. Their O-line is awful. Will Campbell could be a legit option. I know these tackles have fallen quite a bit lately, but I don't think anything's close. I really don't. D-line, Mason Graham isn't a great play. He is a wonderful player. I don't think Gene T goes this early at all. Man, this is a tough pick, really. Because honestly, he makes too much sense. Travis Hunter does make too much sense here. But I'm not going to do that. This could be an easy trade spot, actually. 100%. I can see a team like Vegas coming up to try to snag Shadur here and then picking up a lot of draft assets because they really need it. Their roster is needed. And you know what? Let's see what we can do. The Giants. New York Giants. Where are we at here? Let's do the Raiders. The Raiders looking to kickstart their rebuild. Tom Brady, if he likes enough of what he sees, we're not going to be worried about the other draft picks because, well, it's not this. So Raiders come up and they steal Shadur. And that, honestly, the Giants there, they don't need him. They don't need a Mason Graham. They have Dexter Lawrence. They could really use Travis Hunter, but value-wise, they may need more so of a guy who can just play receiver for them, like a Teteroa McMillan. As good as Travis Hunter is, don't get me wrong, it's hard to pass up on him. The situation makes more sense to grab more assets, I think, in that situation. New England. Well, they have this pick. They didn't trade for Myles Garrett to this point, but that thing could change. We're not going to do that today, though. We're going to look and say, hey, what does New England need? Well, I've got a good buddy. He's a New England fan, and they need O-line. They need receiver. They basically just take Drake May out of the picture, and they need everything else. Everything else is needed. So, I'm just going to save you from making a list. Travis Hunter makes way too much sense. He's on the board. He can play corner. I think he will be a better receiver than corner in the NFL. To me, he seems a little bit small to play at the corner position with his current body composition. I feel like he's very just skinny, just very skinny. A lot of the better corners in the league are bigger guys, bigger bodies. They're thicker built, and he's just too lanky. I think he's a bit – now, he's an absolute generational talent. I do think that much. Generational talents can do a lot of different things that other guys can't. Don't get me wrong, but – you play this guy at receiver, give Drake May a legit option, and then he can be your number 2 corner, maybe even your number 3, depending on how you build out your team through the rest of the year. Obviously, you have Gonzalez. Imagine Hunter and Gonzalez, dude. That'd be crazy. That'd be awesome. Jacksonville, Mason Graham has been a commonly mocked guy for them, and I think that does make too much sense to pass up here. However, I will say, Will Johnson, minus the health issues, does make a ton of sense. If Travis Hunter was in any way able to make it to 5, he is a Jaguar. 1,000,000%. They wouldn't stop. They would not even. This would be the first time in NFL history they don't run the card up there. Roger Goodell would just say the 4th pick is whoever. Oh, and now the 5th pick is Travis Hunter because there's no reason to wait. I don't think they'd give it a second guess. But Mason Graham here, the D-line for Jacksonville has been terrible. They need some help. And, they have a guy like Eric Armstead who could be helpful just in terms of, like, the veteran presence. But Mason Graham will be your down after down game wrecker on the field. The Giants, they move back, right? Teteroa McMillan's here. That's pretty cool. Luther Burden, if you like him. Matthew Golden's had a lot of hype lately. Not sure how I feel. I haven't watched enough Golden to really tell you about him. I really do need to get on my tape more. Quarterbacks, I'm about done with what I can do with quarterbacks for now. The depth guys, the guys who, for example, I'll tell you who I've watched so far. Quarterbacks I've watched so far. Obviously, I have watched Cam Ward and Shadur, and I'm coming out with a quarterbacks video soon on my top. I think I'm going to do 7 quarterbacks for this class, but either way. I've watched Jackson Dart. I've watched Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers, Will Howard, Dylan Gabriel, and Kyle McCord. So what is that? That's way more than 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 8. Okay, cool. That's where I'm going to sit for now. I've not watched enough McCord, but I've watched some. So more on him, but I'm at a 7.5, we'll call it, okay? Anyways, besides that point, the Giants. Let's say maybe they do entertain a Matthew Stafford-like trade. They pick up a veteran in the offseason. Maybe they go get a Russ after he, kind of ditched him last year for Pittsburgh if he doesn't return. Giants need a lot of things. Genty, I think he is available here. You think about that. But their O-line's been really bad, and Matthew Stafford's really old. Let's go ahead and get Will Campbell, probably the best guy in the draft this year in terms of a offensive lineman in general. Makes too much sense. The Jets now. Will Johnson does make a ton of sense for them, I think. Garrett Wilson is a likely trade option, I think, and they're going to cut Devontae Adams. They're getting rid of Aaron Rodgers, so what don't they need, I guess you could really ask, is the question here. It's a rough situation there. Right now, with how the team looks, we'll just say Rodgers and Devontae are gone, and Wilson is willing to stay without Rodgers being back. We'll go ahead and say, they have a good defense already. They bring in Aaron Glenn, who does like his corners, and Will Johnson does kind of fit the Aaron Glenn system. Teteroa McMillan sitting here is interesting, and I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to do that one. Him and Garrett Wilson could be a really, really fun tandem in the draft. I don't know why this is so slow right now, dude. This is crazy. But they would be an incredibly fun tandem. You know, McMillan being your big-time X wide receiver standalone. Garrett Wilson being, you know, a mix of your Z or your Y. He can really do both. That would be a really fun option, in my opinion, for the Jets to have whoever play quarterback, you know? If you somehow bring back a Sam Darnold, if you bring in a Justin Fields, if you bring in a Russell Wilson, if you bring in whoever, name whoever, do it. It'd be a fun option. Carolina up on the clock, and I'm going to be honest with you. I have one position in mind here, and with the guys on the board, it makes too much sense. They need an edge rusher very, very badly. Bryce Young may work out. After all. Okay, that's a great idea. Let's stick there. They have some decent running backs. They're fine. They're capable. Corner could be an option, but I don't think they're in need enough of a corner to worry about this. Michael Williams sitting here, 100% of an option here. I think he's great. I think Michael Williams could be really good. Haven't watched him fully. I'd say I'm about 65 to 70% done with what I'm comfortable with. But I think he has a lot of untapped potential and talent that could really drive him up at draft boards come, when we get to April. So, New Orleans. That's about all you can say. Jalen Walker makes some sense here. 2 back-to-back Georgia edge rushers. Kelvin Banks does make sense here. Josh Simmons, if you like him better. Armand Mimbu, if you like him better. Receiver makes a ton of sense as well, but this is rich, in my opinion. If Teodoro McMillan was here, I think that makes a lot of sense because he's your lightning thunder combo with Chris Olave, but here I don't feel it. They could use a corner. They have Paulson Adebo, who I think may be off contract this year, if I'm not mistaken, and something to look at there. They did obviously trade Marshawn Lattimore. They're not going to look at Genty, I don't think, although trading out Kamara for Genty would be kind of fun. It's just not a valuable pick here. Honestly, I think with how bad the O-line has been and how almost it's going to get worse, Kelvin Banks probably doesn't make too much sense. Josh Simmons, if you like him. And, let's go with Josh Simmons. I think Kelvin Banks may be better, but Josh Simmons, I'm going to take him this time around just for a change of pace, right? The Chicago Bears down the clock. Ashton Jeanty makes a lot of sense, in my opinion, for Ben Johnson. He likes his running backs in a certain way. I'm not sure if he really is going to want to coach DeAndre Swift again. I think he could be a trade candidate of some sorts for, some mid-round, third, fourth round pick or something. Nothing crazy. They do need another edge rusher, though. Montez Sweat is not a 1. I told you. I've had so many people argue with me about that when he first got traded. Though we got our number 1. He's not a 1. He's a pretty good 2, but that's it. Anyways, Genty does make a lot of sense, but I don't feel like that's where they're going to go here. I think edge does make a lot of sense in terms of the positional need, but which one? Tackle could go, but Braxton Jones isn't bad enough to really have to get you a Kelvin Banks right now, or Josh Simmons, let's say, if you want to swap him out from the last pick. Let's go ahead and get Jalen Walker off the board. He's a worthy of a top 10 pick. I'm not upset about that at all. I think he could be your number 1 guy in a couple years, and Montez Sweat be your 2. That'd be pretty cool. The Niners, they're never going to be here again. Not anytime soon. Edge rusher, they say it's a need, but I don't know. Tackle is much more of a need in my opinion. Kelvin Banks being here, it's a done deal. Not even worried about it. Let's move on. Dallas. Genty makes a lot of sense here. He really, really does. Obviously, they had a pretty poor rushing attack this year. They had a pretty poor offense in general. But is it the biggest need they could face here? I don't know. Their secondary isn't, I don't think it's as good as people think it is, honestly, in my opinion. But I don't know that it's worthy of taking something here. Edge rushers, if Micah Parsons' trade comes up, that could be something of need. They really could use receiver, and a Luther Burden does make a lot of sense, in my opinion, for the Dallas Cowboys. But I don't know. Will Johnson's a really good player on the board. I'm kind of seeing that and kind of liking it in a way. But then again, you go to the D-line. They had a terrible, terrible D-line this year. Who is the best D-lineman? That's a big question. Some say Kenneth Grant. Walter Nolan's I think he's pretty consistently the number 1. Harmon, though, has some really good, advanced statistics on his name. Those 3, in my opinion, are your real, true number 1 guys. Walker and Williams both are kind of somewhere in the middle there. Turner, Sanders, they're really your second-round guys. But Alfred Collins as well, I guess. But anyways, Walter Nolan does make some sense. I feel like it's a little early, but we're going to go ahead and do that. They had a terrible run defense, as I said, so it just makes a lot of sense in this position. The Dolphins, they need O-linemen. What sucks for them is O-linemen have been drafted. Guards at this point are a little more valuable than I think they used to be. They obviously lost Robert Hunt 2 years ago for a lot of money that Carolina decided to pay him. Tyler Booker is a good player. He's a really good player. If any of those guys we've already drafted are here, I don't think they take a second. In terms of tackles, Mimbu is here. Honestly, I may like Booker more than Mimbu just as a player in general. So I think I'm going to go Booker here. Fill out a hole on your O-line. Just do it. That really just protect Tua. He needs it very badly. Tyler Warren is a beautiful pick here for the Colts. He really is. He's beautiful. It makes perfect sense. However, Will Johnson being here, he is a potential blue chip prospect, if not a blue chip prospect. I don't know that Tyler Warren is. If he is, he might be, but if he isn't, he's just outside of that. This is a tough one. I'm sitting between those two guys here. The problem is they have a good nickel corner in Kenny Moore. Their outside's been a mess. And if Will Johnson can stay healthy and really be your true number 2.5, right? Like your 1.5, I guess, that'd be awesome. Will Johnson here makes too much sense. Get it done. Atlanta, they destroyed their team last year, taking Rucororo in the second round. What are you doing? And Michael Penix in the first round. I don't care if he turns out being their quarterback of the future. You don't do that when you just paid Kirk Cousins $40 million. Don't do it. That's so stupid. Anyways, so far we've only taken 2 quarterbacks. They probably will stick with Penix. We're not talking about. We'll talk about Dart here in a minute. But anyways, Atlanta, James Pierce Jr. has been a very often picked guy for them. He's slated on this website as the 15th player and the 15th pick. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? But I don't particularly care for James Pierce Jr.'s character. He has been noted as a very just angry person, and that's just not good. That's not a good thing to have around teams. Malachi Starks would be really fun in the secondary with this team, but I don't know that I want to do that here. I think Mike Green makes a lot of sense. Mike Green's a guy who's been flying up draft boards from Marshall, obviously. Did really good destroying Josh Connerly in a rep at the Senior Bowl. I think it makes sense. This is probably his ceiling. I don't really think he gets drafted much higher than this at this point. Combine could change that, but right now, that makes a lot of sense from what we're looking at. Arizona, what don't they need? Maybe quarterback, but you can even argue that Kyler Murray's touchable at this point from other teams in terms of trades and stuff like that. So, looking at it, McBride, you don't need Warren. Malachi Starks, that's kind of fun. Gene T, that's pretty fun. Edge rusher, they do need that. Mimbu would not hurt as well. Burden would be good as well. Loveland, cool, but not really. Igbuka, whatever. Kenneth Grant, yeah, probably. Geez, man. This is a messy area. Their cornerback room is pretty rough. Jahdae Barron could do a lot for them. But if you're going to take a safety or a corner or a nickel or anything, I think Malachi Starks is just far more valuable at this point. He's a great player. Malachi Starks, Cardinals, yeah, let's do it. I think that makes some good sense. A good player, don't get me wrong, but they just have so many needs, man. So many needs, and we're frozen again, so I'm going to have to fix this. But that makes a lot of sense, and just get a playmaker in the secondary for your defense. Cincinnati, they're sitting here with not a great set of running backs, but fine running backs. They don't need Genty, though. Genty, he's just a running back. I don't think they're going to be drafted super high, man. It's just my opinion on that. Tyler Warren, they could really like that. Really depends on what they do with T. Higgins. I don't think they go. If they bring back T. Higgins, franchise tag, re-extended contract, anything like that, they go defense here. And I think, honestly, even if you get rid of Higgins, they probably will draft Warren if he's available, or even Loveland. Either one. Makes a lot of sense to a point. But in my opinion, you have to go defense here. Your defense has been so bad. So bad. And you can't do this anymore, man. I think they're really upset Malachi Starks just went because he could be a dangerous player in their secondary. D-line is better than the secondary by far. So you're kind of looking at corners here. And Jahdae Barron, Siobhan Ravel. Those guys are interesting. Jahad Campbell, maybe a little early, but, something to that, I think. James Pierce, obviously a target. Shamar Stewart, a target. Maybe even Scorton and Sawyer as a little bit if you like them. But O-line's never a bad thing for Joe Burrow either. This is tough, man. Morrison, I'm yet to see what he's going to do at the Combine. I want to know about his health before I do anything with him. He might be a first-round pick still, but not halfway into the round. Jahdae Barron's a dang good player, though. He is a real good player, and I'm going to think that is just too valuable for them. He can be a Brian Branch type of player for them. Makes a lot of sense. Move on. Go up. Just do it. Just do it, man. The Seattle Seahawks, they're weird. They're really weird. Their O-line isn't great. They have quarterback issues. I think quarterback is probably their biggest need, in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of Geno Smith at all. Oh, he has great stats. Yeah, he has to throw a lot because they kind of suck. Jackson Dart, to me, is not a first-round player. In my opinion, he is not the third best quarterback in this draft. My quarterbacks video is going to be pretty controversial. I have a very unnormal view of these quarterbacks this year that I don't think a lot of people do. The number top 1 and 2 for most people are not my top 1 and 2. So we'll get there when we get there. But that's just a little teaser for you looking forward to that quarterbacks video. Anyways, Membu makes some sense here, but he'd probably have to shift into guard. I think you're fine with Abe Lucas and Charles Cross for now. Edge makes some sense. They don't really have a great edge rusher at all. And you know what? I think I'm going to do that with Shamar Stewart. I think I like that. So I like the fit. They've really done a lot through their D-line, but I'm more on the interior. So I think getting this would be fine because there is a difference in an edge rusher and an interior, obviously. Moving on to Tampa Bay. They don't really need Gene T. They have Bucky Irving, and I like Bucky Irving a lot. Yeah, if you've been around long enough, you know I am a part of the Rashad White hate club. I'm actually the president. So, yeah, if you're interested in joining, please let me know. But anyways, Tyler Warren could be really fun for them. A receiver in general might be really fun for them because, well, Godwin's probably gone and probably should be gone. James Pierce Jr. does make a lot of sense here, but I'm going to go with Luther Burden. Luther Burden could be a dynamic slot weapon and honestly turn into a potential near one. He's going to be like that Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave level. A really dang good receiver, but just not a number one. Just doesn't have that to me, in my opinion, so far. I've got to watch more on him, but anyways, he kind of fits that bill where he's not really a slot guy, even though he kind of physically fits the bill of a slot guy, but he can do everything. But he's just not super incredibly talented to the point where he's going to be a number one in the league. Moving on, Denver. Tyler Warren being here for Denver. Pack it up, man. It's over. And, you know, it makes too much sense. It makes way too much sense. And now, moving on to Pittsburgh. That's my team, if you can't tell from the few things over that way. But, yeah, this is going to be a very often mocked pick. And some people may like it, some people may not. Ashton GT sitting here on the board. That's not who we're going with. But there is a lot of attraction for me to grab him in this position because of the fact that, well, they did draft Najee Harris in the first overall pick in 2020. For the Steelers, that is. Not the first overall, but their first overall, excuse me. But anyways, he could be a really good player. In my opinion, Najee Harris is a good running back, a pretty dang good running back. He has 1,000 yards every year. He's incredibly consistent, and he doesn't miss time. He is deserving of another contract, 2 or 3 years. Not a super long one, but I don't feel like Gene T is your solution to your problems in Pittsburgh. Emeka Egbuka probably, maybe not is the solution, but he can be a part of the solution, absolutely. Emeka Egbuka, I was not a big fan of him for quite a while, but I have since turned around on him quite a bit. A physical blocker, a physical runner, a good route runner, strong hands. He's like a better version of Jackson Smith and Jigba, in my opinion. He's stronger. He's more powerful. He's more physical. He's bigger. I really like what I see from Emeka Egbuka. If you've heard me talk about him before, you probably heard me say I didn't like him as much. I ain't going to lie. I think I was just kind of hating for the reason of hating, but I've since watched more of him, and I can't get over it. I don't know what's going on today, but that happened. Anyways, either way, Emeka Egbuka to Pittsburgh, and now we're at the Chargers. Chargers in an interesting spot. 2 running backs off contract. Ashton Gene T on the board. Whew, that would be something. Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater blocking for Ashton Gene T. That's something, man. That is definitely something. However, they need a tight end. Colston Loveland is available. That one's interesting as well. There's a lot of running backs still available, and Ashton Gene T's falling quite far at this point. So, what do we do here? I don't know. This is uncharted territory for me. I did not think we'd get Ashton Gene T this far down the board. Kenneth Grant becomes interesting, being a Michigan player. Colston Loveland's interesting, being a Michigan player. And you know what? I really like the Colston Loveland fit on this Chargers team. They need another pass catcher very, very badly. Ladd McConkey is not a number 1 receiver in the league. He's a very good receiver, don't get me wrong, but not a number 1. And while we're here, I'm Hickman, so let me take a drink of something, and I'll share a little more in a second, but this right here is Dubby. This specifically is their mystery flavor. Super good. Not going to give you any details because maybe you need to go check it out for yourself, but it is a super good flavor. These are my favorite energy drinks. Check them out at dubby.gg. This is a wonderful company of some great energy drinks, and guess what? I've got a discount code for you right above. Shredder, SHRD3R, on w.gg, or just click the link in the description. It'll take you right there. Check out their flavors. Over here, I've got 2 of the blue raspberry, my favorite. I've got the green apple, and I've got the fruit punch, and then, obviously, the mystery. But Let me know what you guys think about Dubby down in the comments. I'll tell you, they're great. Check them out. Go get you something and get you a little discount as well. Either way, let's get back to it. Green Bay, they have Josh Jacobs, so they don't need that. I think they really, really, really might need a corner. By that, I mean they really need a corner. They're going to get rid of Jair Alexander. Revel, Morrison. You can argue where... Wow, is he not here? Are they that... No, I must have missed him. There he is, Darian Porter. I was just going right by him. I think Darian Porter could be a back-end first-rounder. It's a little high, but it could be done. I don't think it'd be the worst pick ever. But Siobhan Revel, Benjamin Morrison here. If Morrison's health comes out clean, I do like him in Green Bay. I'm going to take him, but that is big pending on his health. Minnesota, now up. Aaron Jones has been their running back. I think I like Ashton Jeanty here. I might do it. I'm doing it. Ashton Jeanty to the Minnesota Vikings. They're going to have to move off Aaron Jones at some point. He's just old, man, and that's just what it is. So move off of him, get a really talented young guy. I mean, incredibly talented here. That'd be fun. The Houston Texans, what do they need? Ooh, wow, they need a lot of things. I did not like what I saw from them this year. Armand Membu sitting here, I do like that pick. Receiver could be an option, but I think they're fine at receiver. Membu here makes too much sense. He can play tackle. He can maybe shift into guard as well. Do it. Protect C.J. Stroud. Try to at least. L.A. Rams. They could use a lot, man. Quarterback is slightly an option here, but I just don't feel like these guys are really, truly worth a first-round pick. Now, I did say a minute ago that my top two are not everybody else's top two, which means the top two that everybody else has taken are already gone. That means I think one of these other guys right here is a top two pick of quarterbacks at least. And maybe they do go in the first round, but we're not going to do it today. LA Rams, I'm fine with their D-line for now. I don't see a problem with that. Receiver, especially if they trade Cooper Kupp, is a big need. Offensive line, a big need. I see Josh Connerly. I like that. I see Siobhan Revel. I like that. I see Jahad Campbell. I kind of like that too. I like the fit. Jahad Campbell is a unique linebacker. He can do it all. He can do it all, and he is a powerhouse at linebacker position. But I'm going to go with Josh Connerly. I think that O-line need is too severe here. They're going to do it. Baltimore. As we round out this first round with the last, 6 or so picks. Baltimore. You know, they have a lot of positions that are really filled and filled well. What does Baltimore need? That's a good question. Receiver is always an option for them because they just never seem to really have great receivers. Obviously, Flowers is good, but not great. Revel could be an option. Their corners are iffy, and they may get rid of, what's his name? 44. Humphreys. Yeah, there we go. Marlon Humphreys. He could be gone. Jahad Campbell kind of does feel like a Ravens player in a way. They could go D-line. I don't think it's as big of a need, but they could do it. An edge rusher could be used. Scorton or Pierce? Pierce as a Raven. I like that. I'm going to go Pierce as a Raven. I hate it as a Steelers fan, but he's a talented player. He's just got a bit of a basket case on him. So, I like it, though. I think that's good. Detroit. I think this is a very big Myles Garrett destination. This could be the Myles Garrett trade destination because putting him and Aiden Hutchinson side by side would be absolutely insane. They would get rid of this pick in that case. But obviously, I can't trade for players on this website, I don't believe. So we're not going to do that. They need defensive help. Or a receiver. Matthew Golden would be a really cool Lion. I actually do like that a lot, too. But I think the defensive help is too severe here. We're going to keep a guy in Michigan, Kenneth Grant. That's a pretty fun pick as well. Washington, they are elated. Absolutely thrilled. Matthew Golden is on the board. We're going to check. Yeah, Matthew Golden. He's the last receiver first round available that I think is truly a first rounder. Way elated that he's on the board. Let's go. Matthew Golden's a commander. There you go. Not even wasting time on it. Buffalo. They really are upset Matthew Golden just went. Definitely. But I think they could be a Trey Harris team. He's a good receiver, man. I think he is a first-round player. He's not going to go in the first round, but I think he is a first-round player. Ayo Manor, I've not watched him enough, but I need to. I need to get to him. They need some help, though. Scorton makes some sense here. Sawyer makes some sense here. Ezra Thomas could. Harmon, I like what Harmon does. And fitting for Buffalo, but they do have Ed Oliver. Edge probably is more of a need. Corner is probably more of a need. Go Siobhan Revel. He's still here. Get you a good corner in this first round. Kansas City on the board. Chris Jones is going to leave sometime soon, man. He is. He's going to. He's too old. Gray Zabel has gone up the draft boards a lot. That could be fun. Trey Smith's probably going to be leaving. Donovan Jackson's still here. Gray Zabel might even be a first rounder now. Tight end wise, I don't think either of these guys are first-round guys. Harmon makes some sense here, I feel like. Ahmad Warri, though, could be sick. Justin Reed, I believe, is a free agent either this year or next. Ooh. I like the guard fit, though, and I feel like that's a very Chiefs pick. It's not a particularly sexy pick, but it makes sense. But we're going to go with a little bit of a unique thing here. Give me Gray Zabel. I think he is a Chiefs-like player, and that would be a very good fit for them. They need to replace Trey Smith's probably going to leave, so it needs to happen. Get that, protect your quarterback. Just do it. Philadelphia, our final pick here. Just find the best player available and give it to him. Who is that? Maybe a running back even? Nah, they have Saquon. Just kidding. Ahmad Warri would be crazy in this secondary. You got, the exciting whites with Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship, two really good players. You got Quinion Mitchell, who looks to be your CB1 for the future. You've still got Darius Slay, who's a really good player on the outside. And then you can get Ahmad Warri to match up in the back with Reed Blankenship. That is sick. A little filthy. I think they probably lose Josh Sweat. So that makes the edge position a lot more valuable for them. But I think they could wait. Looking at edge positions here, Landon Jackson could be an Eagle. JT Tumalau could be an Eagle. Even Prince Milian or whatever. I don't know how to say his name, to be honest with you. But, man, this one's tough. They could use some O-line help. I mean, I know right now they don't so much need it, but they will here in a few years as Lane Johnson retires and Wailata's only getting older. What do I like here? Goddard, he's going to go soon. Who's the best player here? Just find the best player because that's what they're going to do. They're going to take the best player. Donovan Jackson might be the best player here. Jahad Campbell maybe, but I just don't love the linebacker fit for Philly. I mean, I do, but I don't because I think they're just going to bring back Bond and be fine. But then again, Bond and Campbell together, holy moly. This one's a tough one. This is the hardest pick of this draft right now because whoever's going to be left is really going to be great picks for the next round. And I'm going to go ahead and take a really talented player who probably isn't the one you're going to expect. Give me Jack Sawyer. Jack Sawyer here is a super talented player with a whole lot of production at Ohio State and a team captain type of player too. Give him on the edge. That's a pretty cool pick. Too bad there's not another Georgia defensive player available that makes a lot of sense right now. But anyways, that's our draft. Can we look at the whole thing here? We can't, so that's lame. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Who do you think your team would take? Who's my biggest faller that you don't think would happen? Probably Ash and Jeanty, I bet. But anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.